Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Shiva. Today, we're going to have a really good discussion about how we stop being fooled and really the need for what I call systems thinking. And I'm going to really have a very deep discussion with Emanuel out of Japan. And I really want to talk about, I don't like pushing stuff, but I've come to the conclusion that I do have to be a good educator in many ways and really push why everyone needs to really study system and revolution. We're going to really push this out there today. And we're going to have this conversation with Emanuel. And the conversation today is really going to be about, how to stop being fooled, why we need systems thinking. And everyone on the planet should really understand systems thinking. I've actually made it easier for everyone to understand what is a system and what is a revolution, what is real change. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And as we do this, I just want to play our intro that we do, and we'll be here with Emanuel shortly. All right, everyone, we're going to have a discussion on how to stop being fooled and systems thinking. So let me bring in our host today. Emanuel, how are you?
I'm good, and I'm really looking forward to this.
All right, Emanuel, take it away.
Well, so this is the essential issue. I mean, beyond any particular candidate or policy, why there's a breakdown in people's citizens' ability to think systematically, to understand problems long term, and what are your insights? What has gone wrong?
Well, Emanuel, if everyone takes a look at my history, you can go back as far as you want to go back, since I was most of my stuff is documented in all sorts of documentation. I've always had the prescience to predict what's going to happen. And from the background that I came from, Emanuel, without that ability, I shouldn't even be here by all regards, because, by all accord, someone coming out of India as a low caste individual, my parents, myself, should never have invented email, gotten 4 degrees at MIT, created all the companies, and be running for president and being able to have such impact. And the reason I've been able to do that, Emanuel, is fundamentally because I know how to think, and I know how to educate other people to think. In our movement, Truth, Freedom, Health, 500 million people throughout the world know about us. In spite of all the censorship, we have about 500,000 people who are educating. And, I've been very, very shy about pushing stuff, but I have to recognize that you achieve a certain point in life where you have to put on the mantle of recognizing that you've become an educator, and you have to support people's education. So everyone listening, you have to go read System and Revolution. This is all 8 billion people on the planet need to read this. And why do I say that? It took me 50 years to write this book. It's only about 100 some odd pages. You can read it in a couple of hours, and it'll really help you understand systems thinking, particularly what is a system and what is a revolution. And it is, if you spent time reading all sorts of garbage on social media, this is packed with really understanding what is a system. Everyone uses that word. And there are the elites who run the world know what a system is. People know that I did a video called Shatter the Swarm. And that video at shattertheswarm.com goes into detail describing how the small set of 10 or 100,000 people control, all 8 billion of us. And that's because they actually understand what a system is and how to create their own change for themselves. And so that's the first thing. Without understanding the principles of systems, and these are fundamental principles that you don't learn in kindergarten, you don't learn in high school. In fact, most people don't learn it in undergraduate or graduate school. I used to teach systems thinking and systems principles at MIT. And I realized that the elites are the ones who learn this. And this is why people like George Soros, Henry Kissinger, a few set of people are able to manipulate. And they manipulate people to make them fat, dumb, and lazy. And you can see this right now. Many people write me emails. Oh my God, what do you think about this issue? What do you think about, oh my God, World War III is going to come. Oh my God, this pandemic. And they have no idea that these people are creating all the theater. So you don't focus on yourself. You don't focus on the fact that they have an agenda using systems thinking to achieve their goal, which is one of those 9 principles, which is power, profit, control. The issue is, what is your goal? Do you even have an agenda? Or are you going to be just stupid and watch Joe Rogan or Fucker Carlson or Booby Kennedy and get involved in their theater, or Trump? And our movement is educating people, like, number one, don't even bother like really wanting to understand anything if you haven't taken time to really understand what a system and a revolution is. And this book took me 50 years to write, but you will understand more than what any of these intellectuals do. You will understand what a system is. What is a system? Not just, oh, the system. What is it? Then you will understand what is a revolution. A revolution is when the state of a particular system goes from one state to another state. It is as simple and as profound as when you heat water to a particular temperature, water goes from liquid to ice. It's called a phase transition. This occurred throughout history when enough people started moving their consciousness. We went from a certain form of society to another form of society. Now, the issue is, who is vibrating that consciousness of humankind? Are we doing it collectively for our goals, or are we allowing someone else to do it, imposing their will? And so system and revolution will teach you what those 9 principles are, but it will fundamentally teach you what a revolution is. But it also teaches you some very profound phenomenon, which is ideas that you've been taught that actually are completely false, like the concept of a center. All right, let me explain what I mean by that. Is that we are taught there's a center to everything. And this is a very interesting phenomenon. And so based on that false concept, we believe in centralized command and control. And I'll give you an example of this. In biology, since the discovery of DNA, everything was assumed. You have a cell which has a circle, and the middle of it is another circle called the nucleus. And that nucleus has DNA, which is at the center of the cell. And that DNA controls who you are. So if you have this particular gene sequence, which is in your DNA, you're definitely going to get diabetes. If you have this gene sequence, you're going to get Alzheimer's. So since 1956 to 2003, all efforts in the field of biology were sequencing the genome to find these instructions about what disease you're going to have. And at the end of the genome project, this centralized model, this view, revealed that we don't have 1 million genes, because a worm only has 25,000 genes. We also have 25,000 genes. And it turns out it's not unidirectional. It's not the center controls us, but it's what we eat, the consciousness. It is called epigenetics. Now, the same thing took place when Galileo said, wait a minute, the sun is not the center. Now, nothing changed when he did that, but it was a different idea. But it turns out there is no center to even the universe. And the latest theory goes that all the greatest things occur at the edges of the universe. The concept of the center is a man-made concept, because we like to put ourselves in the center of everything. And this is a profound concept that I discuss in, chapter 10 in this book. But if you really want to master the world and you want to be a master of your universe, you better get system and revolution. And I have to push this because I'm at a point in my growth of our movement that I got to beat people up and say, look, please don't send me stupid videos. Understand that it's taken me a long time to achieve the level of understanding that I have. And my job now is to find those people who really want to learn and educate them. And the people who want to be fat, dumb, and lazy, I frankly don't have time. If you want to go be fat, dumb, and lazy, I'll give you a reference letter to go join Booby Kennedy's campaign. I'll give you a wonderful recommendation letter to be a fucking MAGA tard with Trump. Go join those fools and be fooled. Or go watch Fucker Carlson videos or Joe Rogan videos. But if you really want to be a powerful human being, you have to understand system and revolution, and you have to start thinking systems. This is why we have all the problems right now. And social media is becoming so polluted with disinformation and deception that our movement and what the education that I put together is the only way out of this. And I say that without arrogance, but as an engineer or as a scientist who has figured out fundamental principles.
Well, we're facing these, you mentioned some of these individuals out there who are taking up a lot of space and air in the internet. And they promise, I guess, two. I mean, first, they're cardboard messiahs. They're offering to save you, but it's a fraud. And they're also, you mentioned the word revolution. Revolution's become a very popular word in their vocabulary, but clearly it's not a revolution in the sense that you're implying of actually changing the state or changing the fundamental principles by which the system works. What sort of revolution are they proposing? What is this when they say revolution? When Trump or his associates, or for that matter, right or left, I know doesn't really make that much of a difference.
Well, they have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea even what the word revolution means. If you mind, I'm going to read a couple of chapters from here to define what a revolution is. Is that all right? But everyone listening, I'm going to give you, and by the way, go get this book, because if you don't get this book, you don't have the fundamentals. It's like you say you want to build an airplane, you want to build a movement, a revolution, but you don't even know what a wing is. You don't even know what a fuselage is. You don't even know Bernoulli's principle. So where we are at is people have to study. And let me read you chapter 4. What is a revolution? Okay. It says, I said phase transition is an important concept in systems theory. It often refers to the transformation of matter from one form to another, as when heat transforms solid ice to liquid water and eventually to gaseous steam. It's of course also true that phase transitions occur in other areas, in the history of our species, and even in the lives of human beings. In order to understand the role of phase transitions in human experience, it's helpful to first examine how those transitions take place in the physical world. Water comes to a boil, as is often an example. Like many other phase transitions, that process is a combination of gradual, incremental change culminating in a sudden and distinct transformation. At or near sea level, water boils at what? 212 degrees Fahrenheit. If you watch a pot of water being heated on a stove, there will be a relatively long period of time. And everyone listen carefully if you want to understand what a revolution is. A long period of time in which nothing seems to be happening. Then a few bubbles will form at the bottom of the pot, and not long afterward, the water will suddenly transition into a full boil. The arc of the phase transformation seems to be slow, then slightly faster, then almost abruptly, when the required temperature is reached, suddenly the water is no longer starting to boil, it is boiling. Historical change seems to happen in much the same way. Dating back to the ancient Greeks, there were philosophers and early scientists who taught that the earth revolved around the sun, right? The Indian astronomer Aryabhatta. So the Indians proposed this a long time ago, proposed that much the same thing in the 5th century. But the idea of heliocentrism, which means the sun being the center of the world, did not really come to the boil, quote unquote, come to a boil, right, in the Western world until Copernicus wrote De Revolutionibus in the 16th century. Heliocentrism was by no means immediately accepted. But considering how long the concept have actually been around, acceptance did happen quite rapidly. But there's a supremely important difference between these two phase transitions. Water coming to a boil is a purely physical process, right? But the Copernican transition was a change in consciousness. That's what I'm talking about here. The earth did not suddenly start going around the sun when Copernicus said it. In fact, nothing was changed on the physical level. Instead, there was a change in people's thinking about physical reality that opened the door to enormous transformations in politics, religion, and science. You see?
Right.
And so this is what a revolution is. A revolution is when you have this. So what I'm fundamentally saying when I did the swarm video, Everything I'm saying already exists. When I say Booby fucking Kennedy is a bullshitter, this already exists. No different than the earth going around the sun. Okay. So my saying that, but when enough people understand that the establishment not only has the obvious establishment, the Bidens, the Bushes, the Epsteins, and all those fools, but they create the not so obvious establishment, right? The Trumps,
the alternative.
The so-called alternative, which I call the other side of the swarm. When enough people get that, the revolution will occur overnight. Okay?
Interesting.
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about raising of consciousness, but if you don't understand what a revolution is, you think it's taking guns. I'm going to get my gun. I got my Second Amendment. That's not what a revolution is. Because you could have your gun, but you may not know Trump is fucking you. Okay?
Right. You have to know who your enemy is.
So that's why it's really, now the principles that are in here, you can use it to understand the political system. You can use it to understand your body as a system. You can use it to understand every aspect of life, because everything is a system, right? This iPhone is a system. This book is a system, believe it or not. You are a system. And what I uncovered was it's these same 9 principles which govern every system. Also, these same principles have existed for tens of thousands of years. And my job right now, Emanuel, is to teach as many people want to get these systems principles. And what that does, it changes their consciousness so they get their head out of their ass and start thinking the right way. Because this is why people keep voting left and right, thinking immigrants are their enemies, right? Thinking that it's left versus right, it's red versus blue. As long as this dialectic exists, the elites are going to win, and you're never going to have a real revolution. You're going to be basically fat, dumb, and lazy and serving them. But without understanding the dynamics of system and revolution and these principles, you're basically fucked.
Right. Well, when you mentioned about the sort of the sun going around the earth as opposed to the earth going around the sun. So in order to explain the very strange phenomena of what happens when the sun goes around the earth, if the earth is the center of the world, it requires incredibly elaborate theories and sort of descriptions. But if you make the sun the center, of course, it all becomes immediately apparent. It's very, very simple to explain. And yet, for hundreds, thousands of years, all these scientists had to come up with these incredibly elaborate paths to explain the phenomenon that in order to justify this wrong perspective, they had to make up all these theories and elaborate tracks for how the sun moved.
Well, also, the other part of it was the Vatican and those in power. This was a way of centralizing them, right?
Right.
Like they were the center. They controlled knowledge. You see this concept of centrism. And that's why, in chapter 10, I talk about this whole concept of center is where all this comes from. And my point is there is no center to anything. I'll give you another example. We are taught that all great things come from this brain trust, Silicon Valley, the military industrial academic complex, Harvard, MIT, right? Now, here's the problem they have. I went to MIT and got a bunch of degrees and invented many things after MIT, which is supposedly the center of innovation. It is a great school, right? But I invented email before I came to MIT in the edges, in Newark, New Jersey, right? And if you look at many great innovations, they come from the edges. Philo Farnsworth invented TV as a 14-year-old boy in Franklin, Idaho, okay? If you look at many great, it was a Michigan mechanic who created control systems. The windshield wiper wasn't MIT. They went and stole it from him. So the point is the theory of things coming from the center, the brain trust, centralized. When you look at the universe and you study systems principles, you find out that this is not true. Decentralization, right? Things occurring at the edges. Even if the earth moves around the sun, this entire solar system is moving around something, which is also right. So the whole thing this notion of center starts to break down.
Right.
Right.
Well, we've seen in recent years, I mean, the degree to which MIT, Harvard, and all these central figures have gotten everything wrong. I mean, essentially, fundamentally scientific.
This is where we have to be careful, okay? Because you have a bunch of dumb fucks on the other end who are saying, "Oh, everything is wrong. Everything is wrong," right?
Right.
And I see a lot of people going to the other extreme. You have to understand that the scientific method, you put out a bunch of ideas. There could be 10 ideas here, okay?
Right.
Of why, this book falls, okay? And some of them may say there's a magnet in the center of the earth. There's a dragon who's sucking things down. Fine, you could have 50 different ideas. But then you apply this thing called the scientific method, which means you have to take your idea, you have to gather data, and then you have to see if that data matches your guess, your hypothesis.
Right.
And it's a process. Right. And if your data doesn't match, doesn't matter who the fuck you are, you're just wrong. Okay?
Right.
And this is important to understand. And then you get to a point, you say, oh, I think this this thing is falling, right? It's attracted to this other object called the Earth, right, through an equation called the force of attraction between this and the Earth is the gravitational constant times the mass of this book times the mass of the Earth divided by the distance squared, okay? And that was an equation that Isaac Newton came up with. Now, is that done? No, because then many years later, 300 years later, Einstein discovers that when things move at the speed of light, you have to make slight corrections to that with the Lorentz transformation, okay? So it doesn't mean Newton. So out of all of these 50 ideas, you came to Newton's model. It's a model still of our understanding. And then Einstein refined it. Now, we may go through another refinement. But the bottom line is, I have people telling me, oh my God, did you read this book? It says that, the cell is an antenna done by some guy, or, you put a greeting card in a microwave and you say a certain word and it forms. And I go, has he proven that? No. So you have people who are attacking the so-called establishment science, but they themselves do not practice the scientific method.
Right? Well, I see this all the time. I've seen in the description, especially on the question, say, of viruses, in which there's an attempt to take the fact that our understanding of viruses is incomplete, that humans, that our knowledge is incomplete, as a way to say, none of these things are real, it's all imagined, without actually sort of taking on the sort of fundamental research on virology. I mean, you have to sort of do it in the way Darwin did, right? Take the fundamental research that exists and take it apart and refute it. But we have a tendency to sort of have these basic sort of soundbite attacks to say, well, viruses don't exist, and then it's done by the devil. I mean, it trends into these even more abstract or
right. So for example, in my comment, someone is saying Earth is flat, gravity does not exist. Okay. Now, if you want to say that statement, then go do the experiment, publish it in peer review, and replicate it. Okay. Now that has not occurred. As of now, the replication shows F equals G times M1 times M2 over R squared. And the problem is we're living in a world now on social media influence who do not know mathematics, who do not know calculus, who can't even fucking solve a problem, and they're just mouthing off bullshit. So if you want to make that statement, just like you're attacking the establishment science, go do the fucking experiment, reproduce the experiment, and prove it, or otherwise shut the fuck up. Because you are as bad as those guys. Okay? The scientific method is what ultimately is where the rubber meets, the road. So you have all these fucking idiots right now who get a microphone, okay, who can't even add numbers, can't even do algebra, can't do trigonometry, do not know mathematics, and they're making fucking claims, and they're
Right.
attacking the establishment science, and then the establishment science attacks them, and it creates a dialectic, and it's bullshit. But they have not done the fucking hard work, and this really bugs me. Go sit down and go try to solve, a beam equation. Go fucking try to do it. Go try to solve Bernoulli's equation. You go build an airplane. Because one of the most profound things for me is go get in an airplane, travel from Boston to India. It's quite amazing what we have been able to achieve. Engineers, electricians, plumbers, we have to do shit that social media influencers do not have to do. We actually have to build something, apply science, and it's quite a miracle. So the next big thing that needs to happen is all these social media people are mouthing. You need to tell them to shut the fuck up and show me the money. Show me something you've built. Show me something you've created. Show me that you can do mathematics, which is really the language of the universe, and show me you can take that math and make something. And that is what engineers do. So as I've looked back, Emanuel, I have greater and greater respect. I mean, I have 4 degrees in engineering, a PhD in it. There's only 15,000 MIT PhD engineers in the world. And what's incredible is that I'm running for president. I've won all the awards. I'm the big elephant in the room that they do not want to cover. All of these other guys, Trump, he can't fucking build anything. Tell him to do a equation of the amount of stress in any one of his supposed skyscrapers he built, which he didn't. Okay? Or Booby Kennedy to explain why a falcon can even fly. Right? They can't explain shit. These people are bullshitters. They're lawyers who create problems. They're fake business people. So we live in a world of people who never have ever had to build something and live by the laws of the universe. So everyone listening out there, listen very carefully. All these social media influencers, they can't solve anything, guys. Why are you listening to them? They have nothing to offer you except you are giving them their views and clicks, and they have nothing to deliver to you except problems, fake problems. They delay truth, and they manipulate you.
It seems, Dr. Shiva, part of the problem has to do with this attention deficit that these days, perhaps because of technology, because of advertising, that people are that they don't have the patience to actually go through and explain of what a phenomenon is, what the causes are, what the fundamental principles are, whether it's for systems or for physical phenomena.
Yeah, and the reason is, if you go back, the United States mathematics scores are going like this. Okay? For every 3 engineering jobs open in the United States, there's only 1 opening. You go walk outside your neighborhood, you'll see 50% of the bridges in the United States are falling apart. A friend of mine just got a brand new car in Boston. He's driving it, hits a pothole. He had one of these BMW run flats, completely destroyed his car. Luckily, he had warranty on it. So all of you listening out there, all these fucking politicians are destroying your infrastructure. We don't have enough civil engineers in the United States. We don't have enough electrical engineers. We don't have enough aeronautical engineers. Who's building the country? So
we've had a series. Go ahead.
Yeah, so engineers, all of these people saying, "Oh, I don't know if I think the earth is flat." Well, you're fucking using an iPhone, idiot. Who built the iPhone? Okay? Start having some respect for people actually know math and physics and engineering. And stop talking to morons who can't even solve a simple differential equation. Because that is the language of the modern world.
Recently, where the United States, through the CHIP Act, they tried to set up these factories for semiconductors in the United States, and then discovered that, I mean, the money was there, but they couldn't find trained personnel to run the factories because the United States isn't training people. There's like small elite of engineers, but to run a fabrication center, you need mid-level people who have training in calculus, and that in America really has disappeared. You have the small elite, and then most people have really no science background.
Right. I mean, you nailed it. There's this very small elite, all these people who can't do basic math problems, and you have this big stuff of people now talking all sorts of nonsense. And so you have to wonder, why is it that I'm running for president, the only guy who can deliver solutions, the only guy who has a proven history, can solve problems? Ask any of them to say, show me how to do finite elements to characterize a bridge equation. Show me how to do a control system on a car. Show me the molecular pathway mechanisms and to do physics. None of them can. But this is a ground thing, just like electricians and plumbers, that this country needs. And so how can you say you can fix problems and you can think when you're a fucking idiot? Booby Kennedy's a fucking idiot. Fucker Carlson is a real fucking idiot. Joe Rogan is a moron. All right. So you have a strata of people who are morons who are telling other people what to think. And so they're making people fat, dumb, and lazy. It's a big moron factory.
Well, listen, Dr. Shiva, I really appreciate your taking the time today. And I hope in the future we can have another chance to have a discussion on these critical topics. And I will read your book before we talk again.
Yeah. So again, I have not in 10 years pushed stuff, but I am coming to the point. I'm going to push all the knowledge I've created, the solutions. I have to, because you come to a point, it's not worth being humble anymore, because these guys who have no skills, no knowledge, censor me, suppress the immense work that I've done. That's come from real hard work. So everyone out there, you got to go read System and Revolution. You don't have to, this is 20, 30 years of MIT knowledge that I've made it accessible to ordinary people. Go understand the Truth, Freedom, and Health movement, okay? Go understand that I've taken this knowledge and made it accessible. Anyway, Emanuel, be well. I'm going to continue with our conversation with our folks here, but let's stay in touch. Thanks, Emanuel. That was Emanuel.
The recording has stopped.
Okay, thanks, Emanuel. So,
well, listen, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Yep. Thanks, Emanuel.
Maybe we can do something together in the future.
Yeah, let's do it again. So,
all right. Thank you.
Yep. So everyone listening, that was Emanuel out of Japan, and he really wanted me to really basically not stop holding back, because people say, are you trying to sell books? Yeah, I'm trying to educate you. But if you do not fundamentally understand what a system is, you will frankly have no way of, it's like you don't know ABCs and you're trying to construct sentences. You can't. If you don't understand systems thinking, you'll frankly have the inability to frankly understand anything beyond that. And that's the point that I wanted to share with all of you. That's where we're at. We're at an important point in human history where people do not have this fundamental capability. The elites know what a system is. They know what a revolution is. And that's how they're able to change situations and manipulate it. So this book is almost, you could change this to learning your ABCs. It's the System and Revolution. Very simple title. So I want you guys to really get this, study this. And all of you, when you become part of our movement, get access to this. But become part of this. I don't know who's talking here. I'm going to exit here. Okay. So that's what you guys need to do. But without that knowledge, you will not even understand why truth, freedom, and health, these three words are three parts of systems principles. Truth, freedom, health. It's not just a slogan. So I'm going to come right back because I want to share with you guys what's going on with our presidential campaign, why this is an opportunity for you guys to understand systems and revolutions from a laboratory standpoint, from a physics standpoint, and from a practice standpoint. And to everyone listening, if you truly want to change the world, number one, stop listening to all these moronic social media influencers. Become a good student. I've created, number one, this is like the ABCs. If you're not willing to start here, you're really not ready to start anywhere, okay? Someone just said, I couldn't put the first chapter down. Yep, you'll learn a lot here, okay? And I may even read you the first chapter if it makes sense to all of you. But for God's sake, stop fucking around. Stop. Recognize that it's time to step back 10 feet, calm down, and learn. And I'm willing to educate you, but I'm not willing to waste my time with those people who are dilettantes, who are sloppy, who are lazy, because the world is moving forward and the elites are consolidating power faster than ever before. And they're doing this because they understand what a system is, what a revolution is. They have around 10, 20,000 people who've learned this and are using it to manipulate you. So if you want to fundamentally change the world, you better understand what a system is and what a revolution is. And you're not going to learn that unless you read this book. Frankly, there's nothing like it out there. So let me play a quick video and I'll come back. And when I come back, I'm going to read the first chapter here. And if you go to, let me put this up. If each one of you go to, I just put up a website for you guys. It's called The System. Let me type it up here. And revolution.com. And you can actually get, you can sign up and you can start getting, you can actually get one of the first chapters. So go to the system and revolution.com and you can get access to the contents of this book. Let me just bring it up, in fact, for you guys. I think here it is. I have it up. So I created this for you guys because I realized that I'm assuming people have basic ABCs and they don't. So when you go here, you can read more here. You can download the first chapter, okay? But you got to go through this or get the entire book here, all right? But this is like, I realize this is like the ABCs of thinking. If you want to think and you don't want to be a dumb fuck and don't want to be fucking abused, go read this book. It's that simple. But otherwise, you're going to be keeping manipulated. But there's a lot more knowledge beyond this book that our movement has created for people. And I really, really want to, in some ways, force you, okay, to go read it. I spent a lot of time putting this content together, and we want as many people who are ready to take advantage of it. But if I don't openly talk about it and demand that you do it, you're going to think, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I'll do it. But let me play this video for you, and we'll be right back.
We have allowed our country to be taken over from within, and the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite, working people. There's only one movement that can do that, and that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution. And that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is, the dynamics of all systems that affect nature. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Truth, freedom, health. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up. Working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers, completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, You don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You've got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is the not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is the not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. We're building a bottoms-up movement, and that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done, and it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. You know, Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote-unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these four concepts I've built into a curriculum where people can go to truthfreedomhealth.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people. 2 years of MIT control systems, I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it, anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. Now, the Senate campaign's expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on truthfreedomhealth.com, so people can sign in, they can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there, but we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to truthfreedomhealth.com.
So a couple of things I just want to let everyone know, which again, I haven't been pushing, but I think it's important that I push you in some ways, okay? In some ways, I'm not doing you a service by not pushing you. So first thing I want to let everyone know is that you can go to thesystemandrevolution.com, The System and Revolution, and you can learn more about the book. There's chapters we have that you can read. There's some videos. Even if you don't want to order the book, you can get chapter 1, but go do this. But everyone should get this book. Now, how can you get this book? Well, one of the things I do is if you become if you go look at our campaign for Shiva for President and you donate, okay, we've done it very simply. If you donate nothing, I give you papers and memberships, et cetera, or 0 to, I think, even $10, you get a bunch of stuff, okay? If you donate 10 to 24 bucks, I give you a bumper sticker and I give you scientific papers. I cannot take your money without giving you something, okay? Then if you donate 25 to 99 bucks, I actually do send you a signed copy of this book. You'll get it, right? So most campaigns, give me money, but our volunteers come in, I sign it, I send it out to you. So it's not like you're giving me something, you're donating, but I feel like I have to reciprocate. But not only do you get that, you get a bunch of other stuff, okay? My goal is to educate you. That's what our movement's about. You get a bumper sticker, you get the book, but I also give you a very powerful software tool, which I want to also share with you. And that software tool will help you apply these systems principles to understand how your body is a system, your body, your system. So again, you get this when you when you donate to me, I actually donate back to you. Okay. Because so you learn how to analyze yourself and understand. You ask yourself a bunch of questions, you'll figure out what kind of system you are. You'll figure out if your body's system from this education is on course or off course. And this tool will actually help you figure out what are the right foods, what are the right yoga exercises that bring you back into alignment. Obviously, you should consult your doctor on any of the recommendations. You know, I'm not a medical doctor, but we give you this very powerful tool to start seeing your body as a system and how foods, exercises can put you on course or off course. So it's the same systems principle. So my running for president is to enable you to get educated, all right? But you got to go get System and Revolution, and you can donate to our campaign. You get it, you know, and you can go read about it. But recognize that I've been thinking for far too long, people have a certain level of understanding that they're willing to study. And I have to realize that I almost have to be a good third grade teacher and take the ruler in some ways verbally to you guys and say, if you want to be fat, dumb, and lazy, great. But in the modern world, if you do not understand systems, you're basically screwed. The elites understand systems. Now, I've made it easy for you to understand systems. If you didn't have this, you're going to spend about 20, 30 years studying it. You're going to go on the web. You're going to read this and that. I've consolidated, distilled it like never before. So I'm glad I had this conversation with Emanuel, because when he started, he's living in Japan, and he was like, why do people are making these such horrible decisions? Why are they believing these idiots? How could Trump con them? And the reason the conning is taking place is you have a whole bunch of people, hundreds of millions of people, who don't understand math, physics, science, and they don't have the ability to think. So I realized that I actually have to force you guys to, not force you guys, I can't force you guys, but force you guys or challenge you guys, push you guys to think. Because without systems thinking, you really are going nowhere, okay? You're going to be caught in a habit trail. And that's what's been happening. So anyway, as I close, everyone support the campaign. Go get a bumper sticker, okay? You can go to SHIVAforpresident.com. Put this on your car. It's a way of making sure they don't censor us. Your car will reach 100,000 people, all right? Your own car per day. You put this on the back window of your car. Those of you outside of the United States, we have a bumper sticker called Shatter the Swarm. Go see the Shatter Swarm video if you want to understand who's running the world. Everyone can go to SHIVAforpresident.com and get one of these flyers. This is an educational flyer. You can print it out. It's free. Go use a printer. And you can educate people what's going on in the world, how life expectancy is going down, who's causing this, the swarm, and the solution here. And then finally, come to our open houses. We make this very, very easy. You will meet lots of people across the world. Every Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 8 p.m., we do an amazing open house. If you're in Europe, elsewhere, come at 11 a.m. If you're in Asia Pacific or the west part of the United States, at 8 p.m. And you will meet people. You'll see the movement that we have created for you to get out of your slumber, not be fat, dumb, and lazy. And if you want to be fat, dumb, and lazy, great. You don't have to do any of this, okay? But if you want to really build a movement, if you want to understand the theory, if you want to have the laboratory and you want to practice, we will get you to do that. And finally, you know, my running for president in the United States gives all of you an opportunity to exercise your muscles of citizenship. We have to get on the ballot in every state. Unlike all of the other candidates who cheat, the Democrats and Republicans don't even have to collect signatures. Booby fucking Kennedy raises $15 million from a Zionist bunch of hoodlums, and he's hiring signature people. Doesn't even have volunteers. Well, we have hundreds of thousands of volunteers, and we need more people to help us collect 1.5 million signatures. Go to Shiva for President, numeral 4. Help us collect signatures, okay? That's how you get out there. You learn. We have leaders who'll train you. But when you go out and you have to talk to other people, that's when you find out if you're a real man or a woman, right? You can talk all the shit you want, but get on the ground in a cold day and bitter cold and collect signatures. That'll find out what you're really made out of. All right. So be the light, be well, but get on the ground. All right. Otherwise, all of this is for naught. And I'll finish playing my campaign video. Who would have ever thought I'd be running for president of the United States of America? I was born a low caste untouchable in India's caste system, a system of aristocracy, oppression, and racism. My name is Dr.SHIVA Ayyadurai. I'm an MIT PhD, a Fulbright scholar, a scientist, engineer, entrepreneur, and inventor. My family and I left India to come to America on my 7th birthday. I grew up in the working class neighborhoods of New Jersey, playing baseball, mowing lawns, painting houses, and coding software. My friends and neighbors are blacks, Italians, Irish, people of all races. As a 14-year-old, I wrote 50,000 lines of software code to create the world's first email system and was awarded the first U.S. copyright for email, recognizing me as its official inventor at a time when copyright was the only way to protect software inventions. I did that long before I ever came to MIT, revealing that big innovations can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. Growing up, I saw politicians dividing us by race and religion in both America and India, to have us fighting each other while they remained safe in their gated communities and in their playgrounds of Hollywood, Martha's Vineyard, and Silicon Valley. I'm a fighter. I fought racism and exposed their imperialist wars, fought for workers, and put my life on the line against global corruption. I never wanted to run for political office. All that changed when I saw working Americans as never before being duped by the establishment and the not-so-obvious establishment. Across left and right, we were being sold out and made to forget why we came to America and why America existed. Lawyers, academics, billionaires, celebrities, and politicians, elites, Clintons, Kennedys, Bidens, Obamas, Bushes, black and white have hijacked America. They printed trillions for their friends. They delivered crumbling infrastructure, corruption, and racism. They've transferred trillions to themselves, dividing black and white, fear-mongering, and fake science, lockdowns and censorship, dirty air, food, and water, pushing drugs upon us, making us sicker. We've been sold out. One set of rules for them and another for us. We deserve a warrior with a history of courage in putting everything on the line for you, who believes in you, not them, who has created a movement bottoms up for truth, freedom, health. I've exposed their lies at the right time, never waiting until it was popular. I've exposed their false gods who exist to lead you back to them. I've exposed their fake science of lockdowns and masking and provided you solutions to fight them and win and protect your immune system, saving millions. I exposed Fauci, galvanized the Fire Fauci campaign when others remained silent. When they stole our election, we sued the government and Twitter in our historic 2020 federal lawsuit, exposing in bare view the government and big tech censorship infrastructure, the unholy alliance between government and social media companies. Where was Elon and his grifters? They stood by the sidelines and did nothing. They did not use their megaphones to help us when it could have made a big difference. Now our movement grows for truth, freedom, health, independent of all of them. Every day, millions are learning the science of systems, the knowledge the elites do not want you to have, so you may learn how to think, stand up, and fight, independent of the establishment of left and right and their fake heroes. Now it's time for you to join the movement, to win back America, to win back truth, win back freedom, win back your health. That's why I'm running for President of the United States. This race is about you. This race is about truth, freedom, health versus power, profit, control. We've had enough. They think we'll fall in line and vote again for their lawyers, celebrities, billionaires, and chosen ones from above. We choose our heroes from below, from the rank and file, who do what is right at the right time, not when it's convenient and popular. They can never represent us. What America needs is a movement by the working people, for the working people, who are educated, organized, decentralized, and fight for independence from their systems of control. And that movement exists. It's ready for you. We don't need them. We need us to go bottoms up, neighbor to neighbor. My journey, your journey are all the same. It's our time. It's time we had one of us. It's time to win back truth, freedom, health, to win back America. Be part of this historic movement all the way to our victory on November 5th, 2024. If you're an American citizen, pledge your vote now for Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, the independent candidate for U.S. President. No matter where you live, you can be a part of this. Volunteer as little as 20 minutes a day. Don't delay. This is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, and I approve this message, paid for by Dr. Shiva for President. All right, everyone. I just want to thank Moonrock, who said they donated us $25. But again, Moonrock, when you do that, be ready. You're going to get 7 different gifts. You're going to get a signed copy of this book. You're going to get a bumper sticker plus access to your body, your system, a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. But my model is, if you notice that I don't beg for money like all these other guys do. When you give me stuff, I give you knowledge and education, because we are building a movement that's about you raising your consciousness. And when enough people raise their consciousness, that is what a revolution is. It's a raising of consciousness that needs to take place. And fortunately, we have the tools here to help you do that. So become a part of this movement, support our campaign. Wherever you are, you can become a part of Truth, Freedom, Health. I hope this is valuable. Be well, be the light. We need to build a bottoms-up movement. Go to shivaforpresident.com and volunteer.